I just asked Mary, I said, is my watch stopped? I've still got 11 o'clock. We got all the time in the world for you. Somebody asked me a while ago, said, are you going to sing today? I said, that means whether you're going to stay or not. Oh, bless your heart. We thank Sarah for helping us out when I couldn't do this, and we appreciate her so much. This is a song I heard the other night, and I worshiped when I heard the fellows sing it, so I hope it'll be a blessing to your heart this morning. Like a babe when it cries for its mother, like a child I was helpless, alone. Then I met the Master. Now for all things were changed when he found me. A new day broke through all around me. For I met the Master. Now favorite piano player back then. Like a blind man who walks in the darkness, I had longed, I had searched for the light. Then I met the Master. Now I walk no more in the night. For all things were changed when he found me. A new day broke through all around me. For I met the Master. Now I belong to him. Yes, all things were changed when he found me. A new day broke through all around me. For I met the Master. Now I belong to him. I met the Master. Now I belong to him.
Years ago, when I was a boy, every Christmas we mailed out Christmas cards. You remember those days? Thing of the past about, isn't it? You know, don't do it anymore much. I remember we would get prior to Christmas in the mail I believe if my memory is right, it came from a place called Boys Town. The Catholic Church had an orphanage there. They sent out stamps that, not postage stamps, but stamps that it just made your Christmas card envelope look better. You know, kind of enhanced that thing, and it made it more impressive. But I remember one of them, it had the caption, showed a little boy carrying his brother, and it said, "He ain't heavy, mister. He's my brother." That's what Christianity says. We say to each other, "He ain't heavy. He's my brother." So we bear one another's burdens, don't we? Help him carry the load. And we'd say to Paul, to this young man who is faithful to his convictions, we're going to help you carry your load, and we're here for you, and we'll be there for you, and we won't give up on you, will we? You know, we don't give up. We just started the fight. We've been talking about, for a few weeks, the children of Israel and how God loved them and tried to get them to do better, and they didn't. But he kept loving them. And they even questioned his ability to care for them, and they acted like they thought that they'd come up short if they counted on him. They even said in one place we talked about that they didn't feel like that he is capable of furnishing the food that they needed on their journey toward the promised land. They said, "Can God furnish a table in the wilderness?" Doubts begin to rise in their mind, and psalm after psalm, Asaph the writer tells us the history of these people who couldn't get it together, even though they had the opportunity to. In Psalm 79, it looks like it's their funeral. That's what it looks like. It just looks like the end's come. Just looks like they might as well say to each other, "We'll just give up and quit." A lot of bad things had happened, and we could say it's the funeral anthem of a nation. Mr. Webster said an anthem is a song sung by a group that tells a story. And Asaph and his psalms, if we sung his psalm, we'd tell a story that doesn't look good for the children of Israel. We express ourselves in songs, don't we? We sing about hope. We sing about tragedy. We sing about a lot of subjects. We do it with the deepest feelings. And we do it whether it's a good or bad thing. We sing about it. Our losses, our gains. Years ago, a fella appeared on the scene. We who live in this area remember him. Some of us do. Called him Hank Williams. He came up from the northern part of Alabama to Tennessee, and he sung songs about life, you know. Probably some of it his own experiences. But because he did, folks gravitated to him, and they listened at him, and he touched a lot of people's lives, identified with him. Their sorrows, his sorrows were the same, and losses and gains, and he made a big impact on folks. I remember as a boy hearing these words from WSM Radio, 650 on your dial. The singer Hank Williams died this morning in the back seat of a car, 29 years of age. What a loss. Somehow his life was full of that. I remember him singing, "Why don't you love me like you used to do?" Why do you treat me like a worn out shoe? My hair's still curly and my eyes are still blue. Why don't you love me like you used to do? What's happened, he's saying. He sung another favorite of folks, don't rob another man's castle. It's written, thou shalt not steal. And the living the life gave him these songs, no doubt. I wonder what we would title a song that we would sing about a nation of people who refuse God and His help. Don't forget that nations are individuals like we are, who in past some have refused God's help and no longer exist, and there's no record to say what happened to them. To be honest with you, folks, if you forget God, folks soon forget you. You're not much to leave behind. We don't leave much of a mark. What would we say? They that forget God? That'd be a good title, wouldn't it? Deep sorrow and loss, that's what the psalmist is talking about. He's talking about distress in the face of circumstances which he's confronted. It's said that the sailor, when in trouble on the sea, throws out his heaviest anchor as the last resort. It's the last resort. After that, if his ship don't hold, he's a goner. These people seem to be throwing out their last anchor, their last hope. The tempest of judgment was sweeping over their land, and the future looked dark, and they had been unfaithful and forfeited God's promises to them and canceled out the agreement. Listen what had happened to them. The heathen had come and taken their inheritance. Got their inheritance. Think about that. Think about that. The heathen, opposite of these people, God's people, the heathen had come and they said they've come and took our inheritance. They took what was rightfully ours. Rightfully ours. Now, we put children in time out when they do ugly things. But God doesn't put folks in time out. But He does deal with us when we err and fall by the wayside, and judgment comes. They said our inheritance is gone. We value our inheritance, don't we? You know. One Saturday we were sitting at home years ago. Dot was in the kitchen fixing us dinner, and Whitney, about 7 years of age, was in my easy chair, turned crossways, with her feet over one arm and her head on the other. And it swivels, and she pushed from the bookcase and swiveled her chair around so she could see Dot, and said, Dot Nanny, who's going to get this house when you and Poppy are dead? Good question. You know, nothing wrong with that. Dot Nanny answered her, I did, and I figured she's the one she addressed. So she said, I don't know, and kept cooking. And Whitney said, I guess it'll be me. I just guess it'll be me. Folks value their inheritance. But there's more to inheritance than just monetary gains. There's more to leaving something for inheritance than just monetary gains. And Israel had more than just things to be gained. The next thing they said got close to their heart. They said the temple has been defiled. That hurt. That hurt. That hurt. You know, you can come down my house and run up in the driveway and get muddy and make some tire marks, and I'll get some dirt and cover it back up. And I may reprimand you for doing that, but it's kind of be over. Or you might come and break my favorite coffee cup or the dish in which we eat out of, and it's an accident. But if you came up here and did something respectful to this church, I'd take that very personally, wouldn't you? I'd just kind of take that very personally. It would hit me way down in here, and I'd respond by saying, you can't do this, you know. Why? Because it's a special place. And the temple was a special place to God's people. It's where He met them. And this is special to us because this is where we come to meet God and to worship. Then these people expressed this. Asaph did for him. He said, great numbers of our people have been slain or been killed. And in a disrespectful way, the enemy left their bodies without burying them. Without burying them. We ought to respect the dead, folks. Did you know that? I saw this thing one time, said, show me how a country respects its dead, and I'll tell you what kind of country you got. A lot of truth in that. You know, respect's a word we don't need to lose. We need to keep it in the right places and toward the right things of life, our respect. Nobody buried them. They left them laying there. And then they said, because of all this, we've become a reproach to our neighbors. Our neighbors. We say it don't matter what other folks think. It does matter what other folks think. It does. It does matter. It matters to me what my neighbor thinks about me, what the community thinks about me, what the church world thinks about me. We said as kids, and we've said this over and over, and even as adults, that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's an untruth statement. They do hurt. And Israel's neighbors were talking about the reproach, the things that happened to them. And they're glad some of it happened because they weren't friends with them. You know, I wonder how we can willingly wound each other as Christians and know the reproach that comes from it, and then think about how the world and Satan must like that. They said they were Christians. They said they were Christians. We don't need to wound each other, folks. Did you know that? We ought to be busy binding up wounds that the world has wounded us from. Not wounding each other. A cry for help is sounded. And it comes in a form of a question. And we've asked the same thing in our life over and over and over again. How long, Lord? How long is this going to keep up? They've been saying this for chapter after chapter, found in Psalms, verse after verse. How long, Lord? How long? Will it last forever? Then they said, we've been brought very low. Very low. We're about as far down as we can get, they're saying. You ever felt like that? I'm just about as far down as I can get. Just about gone. But the writer is sore troubled for him, but he suggests something to them that is the answer to all our needs. He said, we're in trouble, but let's take it to the Lord. Let's take it to the right place, you know. Let's take it there. you ever take something to have it fixed and the guy didn't know a thing in the world about what he was doing? It's about the same or worse when you got home. Isn't that awful? Isn't that a terrible experience? If you've got something bad wrong spiritually, take it to the Lord. Or you got trouble and sore trouble, take it to God. He's in the trouble business. First they said, Lord, you need to avenge us. Take vengeance on behalf of us. We don't need. The Lord said, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, I will repay. I'll take care of this part. You leave that undone and let me handle that. Isn't that good? If we get into that and get started, it just gets worse and worse, don't it? You know. Did you ever try to straighten out something and then it was bigger and worse than it was before you started? Yeah. We should have just left it alone, you know. Committed it to God. Committed to God. We should talk about our bad feelings to God. When we go to talking about bad feelings among each other and they concern each other, we say things we regret. It's human characteristic. What we need to do is to talk to the Lord about it. It always is a relief to tell God. Did you know that? Don't you always feel better when you've told the Lord about something that just troubles your soul? Feels good. You've shared it with somebody who can do something about it. Pray. Pray that God will take care of this. They made a pledge to God after this. They said, we thy people and sheep of thy pasture will give thanks forever. We will show forth thy praise to all generations. Would you come and restore us, they said. The word restore means putting back together something that's been torn apart. Hard to fix some things. For us to fix it, it's impossible. But God can fix things that are impossible in this world. He can put things back together that need to be put back together to return to a former state, to come back in favor with, he's saying here. They said another thing to God that we all must say, turn us around, dear Lord. Turn us. Turn us. Takes more room to turn some folks than it does others, don't it? You know, head him off is what he's saying. They're saying to God, head us off. Turn us around. Cause your face to shine upon us again. Change us. They're willing to change. Oh, how we fight change, don't we? You know, we never did that before. Isn't that what we say? We've never done this before. But change us, they said to God. Not just our circumstances. Well, what's he going to change? He's going to change them. He's going to change us. Don't just change our circumstances. They're saying, if you'll turn us around, Lord, and cause your face to shine on us, we'd be willing to change within, even if the circumstances didn't change. That's the place we all have to reach as followers of God. Then they said, so will not we go back from thee. We're not going to do this again. Quicken us, revive us, help us to show signs of life. Give us divine help. And when they did, he put them back together. Is that good? Let's stand together, please. I just wonder, we've had needs met here today already, and there may be others. with no singing or playing, but just for a moment, that you would say, Lord, I have something needs to be put back together. I can't do it. I've tried. I've worked at it. And I hadn't got it to fit right yet. But I know God can. I wonder if you'd just step out from where you are and come and let's have a closing prayer together. And say, I need help in getting this back together, Lord. Or maybe you know somebody that you're praying for, your daughter, your son, your mother, your father, your brother or sister, or it could be anybody, your neighbor, and say they need to get it put back together again. Would you just step out, come and represent them, stand at the front of the altar and say, I'm stepping in for somebody, I'm pinch hitting. You know what that is, don't you? Yeah. Come and say, I'm going to pinch hit for my friend who's suffering and hurting and has trouble and hasn't realized yet that you take your troubles to God. I'm going to pinch hit. Would you do that? Do you know anybody like that? They need somebody to intercede. They hadn't come, but I'm going to come for them. Anyone else before we pray? Now, Lord, you're looking down on us right this moment, on this Lord's Day. You're looking on us. You know who's here and who's not. You know each of our hearts, and you know the hearts of those that these people are representing. You know the burden these folks carry. They're here to say, I'm standing up for somebody. What a notable thing to do as Christian people is to stand up for somebody that you know that needs you to. And we pray you'll bless the hearts of these people and reward them for their faithfulness. And somewhere just now, these people, some of them may be here, they may be at home, they may be in the hospital, they may have cancer, they may have heart problems, whatever. This morning you would just lay your hand upon them wherever they are. If it's a sin problem, sin in the heart unconfessed, and they don't know what to do, but I've come to represent them. I pray, Lord, that you would be wherever these folks are. Speak to their hearts, give them assurance, give them a good feeling right now on this Sunday morning. Somebody loves me. I know. Go with us, keep us, help us to be faithful. Amen. God bless you.